Randall, we're live.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order the November 10th, 2022 Northern Virginia Transportation Authority. Business meeting, good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's wonderful. First we're going to do is a roll call. David, if you don't mind doing that, please.
Vice Chair Snyder. Here. Supervisor Alcorn. Here. Chair Wheeler.
Here.
Board Chair Crystal.
Here.
Mayor Wilson. Here. Mayor Davis Younger. Mayor Rischel. Mayor Rischel.
Here.
Mayor Meyer.
Here.
Senator Boysko.
Here.
Supervisor Harity.
Here.
Mr. Bedell. Ms. Hines.
Here.
Mr. Cole. Here. Mayor Wood. Mr. Lynch.
Here.
And Mr. Horsley.
Here.
Chair Randall, we do have a quorum.
We absolutely do. Thank you. Authority members, if you have, I'm assuming you have all read your minutes from like the October 13th meeting. Are there any proposed changes to the minutes? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
Chair, I move approval of the minutes.
Motion made by Mr. Snyder and second by Ms. Wheeler. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Well, that was just that was bad. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There we go. Any opposed? We have, I think, 3 abstentions.
Yeah.
3 abstentions. This will be unanimous with Ms. Boysko, Mr. Cole, and Mr. Meyer all abstaining. The action item for this evening, we will start with the financial statement and compliance audit report, and I will go to Mayor Rischel with the assistance of Mr. Loney.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. The Finance Committee received the audit last month. It was a clean audit. The committee recommends approval. Mr. Barber and from PB Mayors is with us this evening, so he and Mr. Longy can answer any questions that we may have.
Questions? Do we have any questions?
I'll give a super quick overview.
Okay, come on.
If that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. So we did meet last month and went over a draft of the reports and the financial statements. You all did have a couple of questions for me, so that was great. It's always good to have some questions. Nutshell, we had a very clean audit report this year. You have an unmodified opinion, which is great. That's what we're looking for. In the compliance section, we had a clean report there as well as far as internal controls and compliance are concerned. We did adopt a new accounting standard this year for leases. If you're not familiar with that, all of your localities are going through that pain right now. If they haven't already finished their financials and implemented that new lease standard. Pretty small adjustment, but if you are looking at the financials and the balance sheet and the liabilities, it is a new item that hasn't been there before. So that's why the leases are there this year. As is shown, and you don't have in front of you on page 17 in our regional revenue fund, of course, is a $1.2 billion restricted amount, and that amount has to do with all of the projects that you've already approved funding. And those projects are detailed out in the very back, pages 81 through 83, by locality and then by project. So again, of course, that's almost 5 months ago, but still, as those projects are going on, most of them are probably still there. So just wanted to point out those couple of items that's where it's restricted. And then if you're looking for the more detail of that restriction, it is in the back of the financial statement.
And I think the word restricted amount is maybe the most important thing that should be said
It is.
for obvious reasons. Right, any questions? Mr. Long, you'd like to add anything?
I would just like to add that it's very nice to stand up here and, present an unqualified audit opinion. And I'm getting nice smiles from everybody, but Peggy Teal really is the person who's the engine behind this. She's done it for us every year since HB 2313 has passed, and I just have to express my appreciation for that.
Ms. Ritchie, would you like to make a motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move authority acceptance of the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority financial and compliance audit reports for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022.
Motion made, so a second. I'm happy to second that. Okay. Seconded by Mr. Harity. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion will pass unanimously. I would note that the only voting member of the authority today not in attendance is Ms. Shepherd. All right, next item.
Mr. Bedell.
Oh, Mr. Bedell, I'm sorry. Yes, Mr. Bedell. Okay, next item. Mr. Snyder, who has been giving me all kinds of jokes over here. Would you like to talk about the updated strategies, Mr. Snyder?
Should I discuss the new mode of transportation?
Yeah. This is what he's talking to me about.
Anyway, thanks very much. So several years ago, the authority established the Transportation Technology Committee to make sure that we're adopting and using and coordinating and funding technology that will best serve the priorities for the region. So we approved 8 strategies that composed the plan in 2021. There's ongoing work to make sure that the strategies in the plan are meeting what our region needs. So consequently, there are a couple, I'll call them fairly slight modifications to those strategies. And we're asking that the authority formally approve those changes. And I recognize Ms. Love with our staff to explain in more detail. You have in your packet as well the existing strategies as well as what the proposed changes are. So Ms. Love.
Thank you, Vice Chair Snyder. When the Transportation Technology Strategic Plan, or TTSP, because it's quite a long title, was adopted or developed, the idea was to create a technology agnostic framework for leveraging innovation to address existing and identified regional needs while keeping congestion reduction top of mind, of course. Simply put, we wanted to maximize the benefits, minimize any potential negatives, and avoid doing technology for technology's sake. Despite that guidance, this left us with a wide range of topics that could be covered. And so the decision was made to focus the scope of the plan on topics that met 3 criteria. The first is that it's relevant to the Northern Virginia context. The second is that it's supported by the NVTA members. And the third is that they are not already addressed by modern and mature efforts in the region. That process led to the identification of the 8 strategies that Vice Chair Snyder mentioned and are on your screen. If you could go to page 16 of the packet, Jonathan, thank you. Or attachment A to item number 5 in your packet. And you'll see them in the left-hand column there. Each of these were designed to be flexible enough to adapt over time. But as Vice Chair Snyder mentioned, technology is always evolving. This could be with new developments that were not anticipated, or with technologies coming to maturity to the extent that they become more feasible for adoption. For these reasons, the Transportation Technology Committee discussed potential updates to the plan around the first anniversary of its adoption at their June meeting. At that time, the committee endorsed 3 changes for your consideration tonight. 2 of them involve changes to 2 existing TTSP strategies, and the third is for the addition of a new strategy. I'll walk through those briefly one by one and then pause for any questions that you may have. The first change is to existing strategy number 4, which currently addresses minimizing zero occupancy passenger vehicles. We'd like to expand the scope of that and change its title. The title would be Enhance Operations of the Multimodal Transportation System through Connectivity and Automation. This change would allow this strategy to also address maximizing the benefits of connectivity and automation in addition to its current scope. The second change would be to existing strategy number 8, which is currently titled and would continue to be titled Advanced Decarbonization of the Transportation System. The change here would be to expand its scope to look into more technologies that reduce greenhouse gas emissions, such as hydrogen as a propulsion technology, and to explore technologies that are synergistic with things already in the plan and might improve resiliency, like vehicle-to-grid technology, which would allow an electric vehicle with extra charge to return that charge to the grid in the event that it is desired or in the case of an emergency. The final endorsed change is to add a ninth strategy to the TTSP, which would be titled Enhance Mobility in the Region Through Innovation and Emerging Technologies in Transit. This would allow for the TTSP to more directly address transit innovations, including but not limited to bus rapid transit or BRT, micro transit, and other related technologies like transit signal priority or TSP. With that, I'd like to take any questions you might have or return it to Councilmember Snyder.
Are there any questions? I appreciate the clarification. Well, not clarifications. I appreciate the expanded definitions. Really helpful. Thank you. Councilor Snyder, do you have any?
I don't, like to put a motion on the table. I move the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority approve the expansion of 2 existing strategies and the addition of 1 new strategy in the Transportation Technology Strategic Plan as presented and discussed.
Second. Motion's made and seconded by Mr. Alcorn. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will pass unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is the Transport 66 by the Beltway concessionaire payment for Fairfax County. Backman and then I'll go to you for motions this time. Ms. Backman.
So Madam Chair, Fairfax County is requesting that concessionaire funds be allocated to 2 projects. These 2 projects you have seen before and you did have them approved on your list of projects to receive concessionaire payment funding. The projects have advanced through preliminary engineering and design. However, the cost estimates have increased. So while we did do transfers and the authority approved transfers for the project at your September meeting, VDOT did note or indicate to Fairfax County staff that they have updated cost estimates requiring the need for additional funding. I will note the additional funding is a small amount. So for the concessionaire funded project, which is Lee Highway Pedestrian Bridge, there is currently $1.325 million on it, and the county is requesting the transfer of $378,630 to the project from the concession balance entry account. Additionally, to the Lee Highway, and that's to the Lee Highway project, that would bring the total for that project to $2.5 million. The next project is the Route 50 at Waples Mill Road intersection project. Currently, there's $2 million in concession funding on the project. The county is requesting the transfer of $31,975 from the concession fee balance entry account. That would bring the total for that project to $2,346,703.
Questions? None. Like make a motion, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the authority recommendation to transfer $378,630 in I-66 concession funds from the balance entry, the Lee Highway Pedestrian Improvement Project, and $31,975 from balance entry to Route 50 and Waples Mill Road intersection improvements project, as shown in item 6 in the meeting packet.
Motion's made and seconded, Mr. Meyer. Thank you. Discussion on the motion.
Madam Chair, I just have a quick question.
Madam Secretary, you just promote me? Listen, okay.
What's the balance once we do this left in on the concessionaire?
So I believe we are at the $8 million mark, but I want to confirm I would need to confirm with VDOT and Susan Shaw, but I think we're at the $8 million mark.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will pass unanimously. The next item is also an item regarding Fairfax. Ms. Backman.
Well, Madam Chair, Fairfax County is requesting the transfer of RSTP money, and they're requesting $1.4 million from their Cinder Bed Road Bikeway project, right-of-way and construction component to go to the same project for design. Apparently, they need additional funding for the design, and if this transfer is allowed, it will allow that phase to stay on schedule, on target, without any delays.
Wonderful. Any questions? I'll go to you again for a motion, sir.
Thank you. I move the authority of approval of reallocation of regional surface transportation program funds.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made, second by Ms. Boyce. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion will pass unanimously. The next item is an item for Prince William County. So after I go to Ms. Beckman, I'll go to Ms. Wheeler. Ms. Beckman.
So, Madam Chair, Prince William County is requesting the transfer of $150,000 in RSTP funds from their Route 28 widening Phase 1 project, which is PE and right-of-way only, to the Potomac Heritage National Scenic Trail Gap Analysis Study. The funds will be used as a local match for their Federal Lands Access Program, which is known as FLAP grant that the county received. The donor project is already completed, so that Route 28, the PE and right-of-way is currently completed, and it has a balance of $2 million. So they are requesting that some of that money be taken or transferred from the Route 28 project and put on Potomac Heritage National Scenic Trail project.
Wonderful. Any questions? Is there a motion? Ms. Wheeler.
Under the authority approval of the reallocation of the RSTP funds for Prince William.
Means for a second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Snyder. Discussion on the motion. I would just note that almost everybody has funds that are being reallocated except for Loudoun County because we tend to get it right the first time. That's all I got. That's all I got. That's it. Any other?
Ms. Beckman, when's the next reallocation for Loudoun County? I was gonna say, yeah, note that. That's gonna, we're gonna have an extended conversation next time we allow the reallocation. Extended.
That's all I care about.
We're gonna get a special subcommittee to review that allocation. Yeah.
All right, any other discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will pass unanimously. Next item, Ms. Beckman, we will go to, it's Town of Herndon and Fairfax. And so I think I'll go to Ms. Boyce-Coe for this question.
So, Madam Chair, I would note this one is interesting as it's really just a swap between CMAQ and the RSTP funds between the town of Herndon and the county. The town would like to exchange CMAQ money, $2.9 million in CMAQ money, and give that to the town, to the county for their Richmond Highway BRT project, and in turn receive the same amount back, but in RSTP funds. The reason being RSTP funds are a lot more flexible than CMAQ monies. And what the town would like to do is use RSTP funding instead of CMAQ project or CMAQ funds, so they can complete some of the project scope and proceed with the arterial capacity improvements regarding their Herndon Metro Rail station and signalized intersections around that station. And they would not be able to do that with CMAQ funds.
Right, questions? So, and of course, I will support this. Ms. Beckman, I didn't know that we could swap money from two different sources. Of course, I know you can, move it inside the jurisdiction or even, Herndon's infra jurisdiction, Fairfax, I knew that. But I wasn't aware that we could do it with two different funding sources.
It works
I've never
because
seen this before.
the Richmond Highway BRT, it has RSTP funds and CMAQ monies on it. So they are the county is in a position to do the exchange with the town because they have both funding sources on that one project.
Oh, okay. So make a motion.
Yes, I move the authority approval of exchange of congestion mitigation air quality funds
from the town of Herndon to Fairfax County and the exchange of the Regional Surface Transportation Program Fund from Fairfax County to the town of Herndon.
Motion's made and seconded by Mr. Alcorn. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion will pass unanimously. Number 10, City of Manassas Park Safety Improvement Program. And since Mayor Younger is not here, Ms. Wheeler will go to you for this motion.
This is Manassas
Oh, I'm
Park.
sorry. Ms. Rochelle, I'll go to you. Okay, I'm sorry.
So, Madam Chair, the City of Manassas Park is seeking the authority's endorsement for their application for the Virginia Highway Safety Improvement Program funds. The city is seeking these funding to help implement numerous local systematic safety initiatives along the Manassas Drive corridor. The project area extends from the city's west corporate limit to the intersection of Manassas Drive and West Cardon Delay. Please help me out, Mayor Richard. Drive. And the city has utilized a data-driven strategic approach to identify these systematic improvements, and they are seeking the authority's support for their grant application.
Wonderful, thank you. Any questions? Ms. Richards, would you like to make a motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move authority approval of the letter of endorsement for the City of Manassas Parks Virginia Highway Safety Improvement Program application.
Motion's made, so second. Motion's made, thank you, Mr. Snyder. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will pass unanimously. And number 11.
Which is the last endorsement, and I should pause to see who you would like to.
I will.
Okay. The Virginia Passenger Rail Authority is seeking the authority's endorsement on their application for the Federal Railroad Administration's Consolidated Rail Infrastructure and Safety Improvement Grant Program for the Franconia Springfield Bypass Project. That project is, of course, a part of the Transforming Rail Initiative in Virginia, and it will design and construct an approximately 0.9 mile long dedicated passenger rail bridge located just south of the Franconia Springfield Station in Fairfax County. And the bridge will cross over two CSX mainline freight tracks and will be owned by the Commonwealth of Virginia, and really will get rid of some of the impediments and crossings that they have with CSX currently. And just as a reminder, the authority does have some funding on the Franconia Springfield Bypass Project in the amount of $22.9 million. And they are seeking our endorsement.
Mr. Harry, this probably should be a motion you'd like to make. Before we get there, though, any questions? Seeing none, Mr. Harry'd like to make a motion.
Sure, I'll move approval.
Want to read that, sir?
Approval of the letter of endorsement to the Passenger Rail Authority's Consolidated Rail Infrastructure and Safety Improvement Application.
Thank you. So, makes a second, Mr. Alcorn. Discussion on the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will pass unanimously. We are now up to our discussion items. Item 12 is HB 1915, the annual update. Ms. Backman.
Madam Chair, as we are required to do per HB 1915, which passed in calendar year 2015, it requires MBTA's Regional Long Range Transportation Plan transaction, of course, to make congestion reduction and Planning District 8 its primary objective to the greatest extent practicable. But what the bill really requires is for each locality embraced by the authority to annually report to the authority any land use changes in their transportation elements of their comprehensive plan that are not consistent with the current version. The current version of transaction would be the version that was adopted October of 2017. I'm happy to report that all 14 localities responded, and there were no changes to the comprehensive plan that were inconsistent with the transaction plan. I will note that the bill just requires us to report if there are any inconsistencies, but there are none.
Very good. Any questions? Wonderful. The next item is the Government Personnel Committee report. Can you come to the table, please? Since I was supposed to give an update, that'd be great. Thanks.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, the Governance and Personnel Committee met earlier today and went over the updated draft, which is in your packet. The committee agreed with the amendments that were made, but asked that there be an additional item added to the Transportation Technology Strategic Plan item that addresses our being able to support any efforts on supporting automated traffic enforcement initiatives that might come forth during the General Assembly, whether that be strictly things for safety like traffic cameras or further able enforcement on people going around school buses, etc. So we decided to use the larger term of automated traffic enforcement. Thank you, Mr. Alcorn. And we will add that to our item number 4.
So, anything else?
Now, but the revised final version will come to you all for action at the December meeting.
Any other member of the DPC would like to add anything else? All right, thank you. We go to the Finance Committee reports, which there are 3, and great information, and I will go to Mayor Bishop first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To recap the October Finance Committee meeting, the committee received the 2022 financial statement and compliance audit reports. As discussed and approved earlier, it was a clean audit. At the Finance Committee meeting, we also recognized Ms. Peggy Teal's efforts to facilitate the successful audit. We very much appreciate that. The committee also went over prior budget guidance and is now reviewing the new initiatives being proposed for the FY24 budget. MBTA staff is continuing to work on policy updates related to invoices older than 18 months. And the committee reviewed the monthly reports on the investment portfolio, revenue, and operating budget. Mr. Longi, do you have anything to add?
Mayor Rochelle, I'll just note, Councilmember Snyder asked us to do a recap on a recent purchase, actually just this week, of a green bond. Councilmember Snyder and the committee had not given us a directive on the finance team, but did ask us to look for opportunities to participate in instruments such as this. Green bonds can be fairly complex. DevSen actually found one issued by the World Bank that's paying 5%. Very good rate in pretty much any context. So we were able to conclude that purchase of $10 million. As an add-on to that, the authority has sponsored what we call the Regional Investment Group. And we have also gotten the investment managers, elected treasurers from the region together and have had shared discussions on topics such as green bonds, et cetera, et cetera. Concludes my ad hoc addition.
Madam Chair, I think Mr. Long, you mentioned in our discussion during the Finance Committee that the World Bank has a better credit rating than the U.S. government. Is that right?
That's correct, sir.
So
Most of our member jurisdictions have better credit ratings than the US.
That's also
That's not- Our most recent credit report says we're rated higher than the Solomon. That's the US government, so we're probably allowed.
Please. On the rest of you, but
Unlikely.
Ms. Gresham, anything else?
Oh, that's all. Thank you.
Anybody else from the Finance Committee have anything they'd like to add? Mr. Long, anything else on any of these?
No, thank
Okay, wonderful. We have a PCAC report in the package, correct?
That is correct.
Anyone have any questions on the PCAC report? Or how about any questions on the TAC report? Ms. Mackman, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
Madam Chair, for my report, I would like to draw your attention to page 3. And it's really talking about the monthly factoid talking point, given that the opening of the Silver Line is this coming Tuesday. I draw your attention to these bullets and note that the authority, you've invested $454.4 million towards 18 projects in Metro Silver/Orange Line corridor. I'm not going to read the projects off. You see them here before you, but you have invested significantly in the corridor.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any questions? Everybody ready for the Silver Line opening?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, you know, I just remembered that during my chair's report, I have to report out before the nominating committee, and I probably should have made that joke Nominating somebody for chair. For next year. Look at him and me. Look at Ann's face. But we need a nominating committee for next year, basically. Or do I have any volunteers? Okay, so I will call you and Mr. Wilson. Oh, listen.
Okay, I stick my friend. John said I won. Happy to do
Are there two others who would like to be in the nominating committee? You would gladly do it.
Sure, yeah.
You sound so happy about that. Anybody else? Really light lift, actually. And since Ms. Crystal's leaving, so I'm sure she'd like to be part of that.
Happy to.
I'm sure she would. There you
I'll be
go.
there, just name the place and time.
So we have a nominating committee of Mr. Wilson, Ms. Crystal, and Ms. Wheeler. Thank you very much. Again, I always think I should have more words to share, and I do not. I have nothing else, except for see everybody on Tuesday. And for, if you're going to be at the Vermont station and you need some information about what's happening at the airports, I can give you that information, and I can give you information about the Ashburn station. And I think probably they're going to give you information about the innovation station
And yes.
and Reston. So if you guys want anything after we adjourn, come ask us. Try to do it. Anything else for the good of the body? At 7:39, we are adjourned.
Like,